This is a great strengthening for the entire body, as we'll be strengthening the wrists, the arms, the core, and the legs all at the same time. So we're going to start in the 3-limb table. Hands should be stacked underneath your shoulders. Back leg is straight. We'll start with some shoulder shrugs. So you're pinning your shoulder blades together and then pressing the floor away from you to broaden the shoulders across the back. Getting into a hip flexor stretch, push your hips back to get a nice stretch in the hip flexor. Tucking the toes under, shifting the hips up and back to 3-limb dog. Holding here as long as you want, keeping the neck soft, or coming into a nice plank flow where we'll shift forward, shoulders over the wrist into a 3-limb plank, and then shift back into your 3-limb dog. Staying for 3 to 5 breaths in each pose. Do as many as you want and stay as long as you want. Actually, whatever feels right for you. All of this can also be done on the forearms if you're having any wrist injury. Now from our 3-limb plank, tuck your free leg into the hammock while keeping the leg in the hammock nice and straight and active. Resting those wrists by coming down into resting stretch with the back leg bent and that back foot flexed. Coming back into our 3-limb table, but now on the forearms, feeling that one knee tuck as you scoop of the pelvis. You can also add some leg kicks. Again, trying to keep the core nice and active and reduce any arching in the lower spine. The leg in the hammock needs to stay really straight and active. Let's take a pause. Maybe in child's pose, you can shift your hips side to side. Take as long of a pause as you want. This is an opportunity to reset and catch your breath and prepare for us to do the other side. So now we're going to bring the toes tucked underneath us for a reset pose called broken toe pose. If it's too much on your toes, you can pull down in the hammock to bring your hips above your heels. Otherwise, you're sinking your hips onto your heels and resting, keeping the focus on the breath. Our other side will begin in our 3-limb table and come back into our shoulder shrugs. You can do these nice and slow or quicker, but you're going to want to try and keep the spine really straight and the core active while you're doing them. Pressing the hips back is going to get that hip flexor a nice stretch. Pressing the hips back as much as you feel comfortable, and then tucking your toes under to shift your hips up and back to a 3-limb dog. Again, we're going to do this plank flow. You can stay in each of the poses as long as you want. So we're shifting in through a 3-limb plank and then slowly shifting back into a 3-limb dog while maintaining an active core and a neutral spine, although we want to be careful for not arching in the lower spine when we're in either of these poses. These can also be done in the forearms. Again, if you have any wrist issues or shoulder issues, they're actually more challenging on the forearms, but can be a wonderful variation. Then from our 3-limb plank coming into our tuck ends, doing 3 to 5 to 8 or however much feels right for you. You can also add some leg lifts from that 3-limb plank. Again, keeping a scoop of the pelvis, navel in, nice and round in the core, and no arching when you're doing these. As you rest, we'll shift forward, flex the back foot, bend the back knee for a resting stretch with the back knee bent. Also a great opportunity to roll the wrist around and rest the wrists. Come on up to the knees or go into child's pose to pause and reset. You can also offer a variation of seated easy pose or shavasana to pause and reset.